Welcome back into another edition of Star V Sundays here on Vandy247.com alongside Joe Bulovas. I'm your host, Billy Derrick. We're back with another player interview, current player this time. We had a current staffer with Jordan Matthews. We had Ben Bresnahan last week, and now we got MK Young, the transfer from New Mexico State. Obviously played with Pavia and Stowers and the crew a couple of years back for 2 years there, and then obviously, last season had quite the journey off the field. We'll get into some of that. But MK, man, I appreciate you taking the time, and Joe, obviously you for setting this up, man. You've been lobbing them here, and these guests have been slamming it home.
No, man, it's awesome when we have players on, especially like MK's our first active player that we've had on. So, and just so you guys know, like he's got a phenomenal story, and so I'm really excited for you guys to hear from the
Yeah.
man himself. He's really a huge part of Vandy's success this year. So we're blessed to have him on the podcast, and we're blessed to have him at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, MK, let's start there. I know Joey Dwyer, my counterpart, has done a great job chronicling your journey. But take us through. Well, let's go before last year. Let's go back to high school and your journey to New Mexico State before you even came into contact with Pavia and Stowers and Coach Kill and those guys. Like what was your recruiting process like at that high school level, and then you get to the college level, and then obviously Vanderbilt comes knocking. But what was that high school journey like to you, and just getting to the college level?
The high school journey was a bit different. Like I was under recruited, of course, coming from like West Texas, and obviously I had everything, like all the stats, everything you could think of, but certain things and like just didn't fall my way in the recruiting process, and that happens sometimes because of the area I was recruited in, where I was from, being from West Texas, and then I met Coach Kill and Coach Altman and them I was at a TCU camp, and I was with I don't know who was over there at the time. I think it was Doug Meacham and Kenny Hill was their quarterback uh assistant coach, and like I was running like a private workout for him, trying to get an offer there. So it was like me and like maybe one other dude, and I'm out there just running these routes for Doug, I think, and then that was Meacham at the time. I think that was Meacham, and Coach Kill comes out. He has some tights on and some shorts, and I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, everybody's telling me like this is legendary Coach Jerry Kill, and he comes up to me. He's like, hey, what's your name? And he asked my name, and I'm like, MK. And he goes, you look like a ball player. I'm like, okay. He cuts some of the film on. He's like, he texts me. We keep each other, we're having conversation. And he comes up to me and he comes up to my dad and he tells me, he's like, hey, I think like we're finna get up out of here. Like we're not gonna be here very long, but he texts my other coach. He's like, will he be willing to follow me wherever I go? I'm like, sure, why not? Like, I mean, they say he's a legend. They say he wins everywhere he's been at. I mean, let's see what happens. So I honestly prayed about it and like just took a leap of faith. I was in class and I was like, I was in like my health class, one of the classes. I know it wasn't a portable, but I was in a class, and then I got a call from like one of my coaches, like, breaking news: Jerry Kill gets a job at New Mexico State. Never heard of New Mexico State. I'm like, where's New Mexico State even located? Like, they're like Las Cruces, New Mexico. I'm like, where is that at? And it's just this whole ordeal, and it's and he was just like, will I be willing to follow him? I followed him. I committed there, right there, and that's how it went.
You mentioned Coach Kill, and I'm always so interested in his story. Obviously, such a crucial part to your recruiting process. Obviously, Diego's and his relationship super tight. What is Coach Kill like in the facility? In the training room, whatever it is. The film room. How would you describe his personality?
His personality is different. There's no one like Jerry Kill. There's no one like Coach Kill. He's one of one, truly. Like when people say one of one, like he's the epitome of one of one. Like no one is like you can't articulate who he is. Like it's hard to kind of understand, but he's a different cat. Energy always up, and it's like no matter what he's going through, he will never show it. And like I find out like that that fires me up and gets me going every time I see him, because it's just like he goes through so much, and like, but he's just a guy who's just willing to do. He loves ball, and he's willing to just change young men's life. And so like he has my total respect. And it's just like that's why when I came here, it's like everything I had to do, like I had to perform, because like he took a chance on me, and I want to make him right. And like that's that whole deal. He's a gem, man. He's a gem.
Well, man, first of all, love that story about Coach Kill. I think I heard about it, when we were over at lunch a while back, and you kind of outlined that. And I never knew your relationship with Coach Kill started of all places, a TCU camp back in the day. But man, I know you're a big man of faith, and that's one of your best traits, I think, is how devoted you are to the Lord. Can you walk us through how that has molded you as a person through your football career from high school to now?
Oh yes. So I think it really started my transition from high school to college, like that first year. And it's just like I asked God. I said, God, I want you to put me. This is serious. Like I got on my knees and I went into prayer and I said, God, I want you to put me in an uncomfortable position, a position that makes me rely strictly on you. And at the time, I really didn't know what that really meant. I was just like, I just want to see how this looks, like, see what turns out. And he sent me to New Mexico, but I'm forever thankful for that. But I wanted to go back to the bottom. Like I wanted to be on the bottom of the depth chart. I asked him, like, I just want to be at the bottom, like just to see and just to show you how much I really do love him, just to show him like how much I really do rely on him, and I lean into him and not my own understanding. And ever since, like, that has been the epitome of my whole career, and will continue to be. It's like no matter when things are going good or when they're going bad, because like everyone can thank him when things are going good. Like, and I wanted to, like, my college, like my high school career was like, it was pretty good. Like I was pretty good. It was pretty good. So I was like, just, it was easy to thank him. But I told him, like, you put me at the bottom. I want to show people, and I want to show, like, obviously my heart, but I just want to show others what it looks like to follow Christ through it all, and see it on the back end, how you will reap the fruits of your labor. And I think that's just been my whole epitome of just trusting him when things are dark, when things aren't going your way, when your plans don't align to his plans, because ideally his plans is our plans, and our plans are not our own. So I think that's a huge thing of my faith. Like that's how I've gotten here thus far, is just trusting him and continuing to trust him when things aren't going how I think they should be going.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. I know obviously Eli Stowers and not just Eli, guys like Cole Spence and several other guys have been really outspoken on the team in their faith life. And you saw a team last year, an Ohio State team that was outspoken, and it feels like that's becoming a theme around college sports and on campuses, and obviously it's great to see. But with this team specifically, how much of an impact has the faith had on you, but also the team? And have you seen any, I mean, I'm sure there's been some conversion stories and things like that, like guys that you kind of came in, you met, and you're like, man, this guy might be tough, but now, you've been able to mentor. And Eli, like, take us inside the locker room on how that has kind of impacted the team.
I think it's impacted the team tremendously. Like, honestly, don't know where to start. I mean, with Brother B does a really, really, there's a story. I got a couple stories about Brother B, but he does a really good job of, like, just setting the foundation and just telling people to come as they are. But God has done a tremendous work just in everybody's, like, just when you see, like, my first time coming and, like, seeing all the people who went to Brother B as to how it is now, there's a lot more players coming to those Bible studies. There's a lot more players, and, like, even with one, and just like who comes to mind is Vanzel Hinton or Jalen Lackey or Tristan Brown. Those guys who just come to, or Joe McVay, like those guys who continue to come to Brother B's and continue to grow their faith. James L. Lassiter, who just continues to grow their faith and take those next steps. I'm sure there's many other ones, like Brandon Fontenette, like, who ask those tough questions, who ask those questions of how you study, how do you get into the word, and because it's like, nowadays, I hate this. This world is so lost, and we're so needing for something more, and that more is Jesus, and that one who can find us is Jesus, and I truly do believe that, and I feel like everybody's seeing that now on the team, and it's like, when we fix our eyes on Christ, things start happening. There's actually literally something about the name Jesus. When you call on him, things start to move. And I think that we're understanding that as just as humans and as our walk just in life. And I feel like this team, and that's why I'm placed here on this team. I feel like that was my part in being on this team, is to continue to just mentor and continue to help and uplift and grow those around me.
Well, man, I think you're doing a hell of a job with that, man. That's a really powerful
That's
story,
awesome.
and it's cool to see how the team moves now. You know, you got so many guys doing things the right way, and a great group of guys in that locker room. You know, who are a few guys that you're really excited about? Maybe either younger guys in that room. It doesn't have to be the running back room, but on the team, some younger guys that you're really excited about their career going forward.
Uh, I got to shout out to RB. James Dale Lassiter, Gabe Fields, like all those two guys there. And I'm trying
Yeah.
to. Who's my guy? Why am I drawing up? Jake Stanish. Jake
Mm.
Stanish. I'm gonna note this now. Jake Stanish would probably be one of the best DNs going for. I'm noting this now. So we're gonna run this back. I'm letting you know. He's
He
someone.
was everywhere. He was everywhere in fall camp.
He's someone to know. I just watch, but he's someone to know. And obviously, like Blaze obviously we know about Blaze Berlowitz and just those younger guys in the yeah, just guys like that. And obviously Boski Barrett and Joe McVay. Like that receiver room is very deep as well. Like there's guys who can go in that depth chart. Like that they're there. And obviously Bryson Coleman, everybody knows about Bryson Coleman. That speaks for himself. He speaks for himself. But yeah, those are some of the shout outs right there I can think of just off the top of my mind.
MK, I'm interested in kind of this season, how the offense has evolved. You start the season, obviously scoring a ton of points. I think you guys, hit 70 there early in the season. And then even at South Carolina, put up some points at Virginia Tech. But it was still similar to last year in the fact that, you'd eat up clock and it had some long possessions and that is still the calling card, right? And I don't think that's, that could be argued, but there's a lot more passing. I mean, 32 of 38 for Pavia, right? And you guys are involved in the passing game with you and Cedric and everybody's getting involved now. So how would you describe kind of that evolution and how you guys have had to work through that? Because that can be hard to do sometimes when mid-season, but it's an adjustment that Coach Lee has mentioned after games that felt like you guys had to sort of step into.
Yes, like we realize we're extremely dynamic, and like that's something we can use to our advantage, is just having those different things, being able to chew clock. Like what happens when you have a team who's a clock management team who knows how to chew clock and can hurry up and can go air raid, like who knows how to do all these different things. Like you don't have a plan for it because only, most teams only have like one identity. What happens when you have all these different identities? Then what? Like, how do you stop that? So it's like, yeah, touches are limited now, but how can we get effective in the pass game? All right, we're not getting as much carries. Okay, let's get out of the swing routes, these check downs, and make something happen. Diego needs passing yards. We got to go pick those passing yards up. How can we help him win the Heisman? We got to do that. Anything possible, like anything to help this team win. Like we want to win. So if that causes for us to go into an upbeat tempo team, so be it. Whatever they want us to do, we're gonna do. So it's however you want to get beat. Ideally, like you want to get beat slowly or you want to get beat quick. You choose.
Joe,
I
I
love
don't
that.
think I've seen an offensive approach really quite like this one. I mean, you had a perfect definition of this offense, Joe and MK, is yesterday. Trey Richardson's touchdown there on the pitch was originally a rushing touchdown and then was later credited as receiving. That sequence in and of itself is, we got to switch it to a passing touchdown because there's it's so creative. It's insane, Joe, how many different things this offense can do.
Well, first of all, as a fan now, it's hell of an exciting time to be a fan because, Billy and I have talked to several times about like the 2 minute drill, those like the middle two and then the end two, like the 2 minutes before the half and then 2 minutes at the end of the game. And the offensive efficiency that you guys have when you guys need to hurry up is really, really solid. I mean, you guys are running like a well-oiled machine. I kind of want to talk a little bit about this past week of prep for you guys. So from an offensive perspective, when you're going up against, again, very talented team in Kentucky, what were you guys kind of keying this week of, hey, of things on Kentucky's defense that you guys were maybe trying to exploit?
Just being able to just like, I think the first couple, like on that bye week, like when we first came back that Sunday, like we went NASCAR for like a carry up offense in the first period for like 2 practices or 3 practices straight. Like just realizing that we that tempo. I think it was more about, I hate to say it, I think it was more about us than them. Like we didn't like, yeah, obviously
Right.
Kentucky, no discredit to them. Like we knew that they had a really good defense. And we also knew that we can attack them some in secondary. We knew that that was a little soft there. We knew linebackers take the cheese. So we're mixing up some play action in there, get those linebackers to bite down and those safeties to roll over, spin over. So I mean, just taking advantage of those different little details like that. And I think, like I said again, like Coach Lee did a really good job preparing us, and Coach Beck as well, just of our practice format of having us go tempo all those periods and having us just being able to burst off the ball. And so that credits to them as well, and us just going out there and executing.
You mentioned Pavia, and you know, we got to get him some more passing yards. We want him to have that Heisman Trophy, and we want him in New York. You know, that's that type of mentality. You know, that happens right late in seasons, but the fact that you guys are so invested in that, and it's been clear, you know, these last few weeks that, hey, let's go. We got it. You know, and Clark said we got to make a statement against Kentucky. Why do you believe, you know, that Pavia deserves to be in New York? Not just the numbers, but, you know, that a lot of times that's an award too of, man, just the impact someone has within their program.
Yeah, and obviously the mission is winning, and I don't want to take that away from Pavia. Like he'll tell you the same way. Like he's just trying to win ball games. Let's start there. I don't make it seem like we're doing this only for Pavia.
Yeah.
But yes, we're just trying to win ball games as well. But I would say he deserves that just because of like who he is, and a lot of people, he gets so much hate off the like just for him being Diego Pavia. I have no clue, but like because they don't really know him, they only see this persona of who they think they know, and it's like you sit down with him, you sit down with him, you would want to give him the Heisman just right there. Like it's who he is as a person. Like you see all these other like, and it's more about off the field, and obviously the competitor he is. Like he's had to overcome so much adversity, and he's had to. Everything they said he couldn't do, he's done, and he will continue to do that. And I believe that when he gets to the league, he needs an opportunity there. He will get that. I'm declaring that now. But I think that you just see the type of how he doesn't make himself better. Not only does he make himself better, he makes others around him better. So like when he's on the field, like you get that sense of confidence being in the backfield with him. Like it's the best backfield in the nation. Like you get that confidence. Like O-line, they getting that confidence. We the best union O-line in the nation. Like receivers, they're the best receivers in the nation. Like it's the sense of confidence he brings to teams, the sense of because we're all misfits. That sense of belonging that when he had, like he says, I think he said in an interview, how he has the ability to bring people together. Like that's huge. That's to me, that's why he deserves a Heisman. It's not more. Yes, we know about he's a heck of a quarterback. We know that. Like that's overstood, and I think his numbers show that as well. But it's just who he is as a person and what he brings to a team. Not only the stats, but what he brings to the team as, you know, culturally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it's been really cool to see, you know, a natural leader step into the Vanderbilt program and really transform the confidence level, the team chemistry, camaraderie. I mean, you guys are a really tight-knit group, man. Like I try and make practice every week. You know, typically it's on a Thursday I come by and check out and see how everything's, you know, flowing in the indoor. But you guys are having a ton of fun. Y'all are intentional, man. You guys are flying around, having a blast playing football, but playing at a really high level with some really intentional focus. Kind of walk us through how you guys are able to play loose and be a little bit looser, but also have that really intentional focus to deliver on a high level.
I would say that preparation, like just, you know, like I think he always says it. If you is a saying, like if you practice like you play, then you're gonna, you know, the play is just gonna be easy. It's just gonna come, like it's just gonna be natural. And I think Coach Lee does a really good job of having everything structured in a way where we can be ourselves and still get detailed work. And I think that's, of how they set up the practices, from the number of periods, from how long we're going, like just us being able to be ourselves. Like that, I think the coaches do a really good job of all of us just letting us be ourselves. And then like obviously that competitive nature of just we want to win, and that chip on our shoulder mentality, and that comes from our head coach as well.
Speaking of the head coach, Clark Lee obviously a couple of years ago brought in essentially an entirely new staff with the position coaches, the head position coaches. A lot of the support staff had stayed the same and intact, but Chris Klanakis, Jerry Kill, Tim Beck, this coaching staff. We talk about the misfits, and this coaching staff, I think, to a degree, you could call them some misfits and underrated to a degree. I don't think they get near enough credit for what they've done to help this build as well. What kind of an impact have guys like Klanakis and Beck, who we all know is just a wizard with this offense? What kind of an impact have they had on this team being on the doorstep of the playoff?
Just helping us be dynamic. Like they're smart. Like those two individuals are smart, extremely smart, and they're probably one of the smartest individuals you meet. And obviously the coaches that you don't see is like, obviously my coach, Coach G, Coach Langford, he came from New Mexico State as well, and I truly do think, and this will come to fruition as well. People will see it. He's probably one of the best running back coaches in the nation. I think he's one of the best running back coaches in college football. There's a reason I stay with him. Like it's just everything intentional about how everybody goes about it. From like our GAs, like it's just that standard that we all have, and Coach G has us being able to play free. Like he helps us be who we are. And I think he doesn't get enough credit for the help that he puts in as well. He's a great mind as well. And obviously Coach K and Coach Beck, like their minds is out of this world, because like they put together some things. I'm like, I never would have thought about that one for sure. Not in a million years, but they're way smarter than me. But yeah, just those guys there are just one of ones. They're smart, and they definitely we have everything in front of us.
Well, there's a stereotype amongst kickers that they all have their little quirks. Like, some are, maybe I'll quote The Office a little bit, and he says, I think it's Michael. He says, "I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious."
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of weekly routine that you just strictly abide by, or maybe a game day routine? We won't go to superstition. But is there any routine that you stick to on a particular day, or you just, this is my routine, this is it, anything like that?
Oh yes, I definitely stay away from superstition, because it's like I don't believe that. No. I have to tell myself that too.
No,
I'm
me
neither.
but
Yeah, but for sure, I have my routine. Obviously, like every Sunday and every Monday, like those are the times where it's my most freest. So in that time I'm spending time on the third floor, and I'm in my word, and I'm going through. Right now, I'm going through Mark. I'm going through Mark right now, and we're reading Matthew as well in church. But just getting my word, like that's my biggest routine, and like obviously praying every morning and staying in my worship music, and obviously before the game is like straight worship music, and then I'm probably gonna play I don't know. I think yesterday I played some Miley Cyrus came on, and it was
how about that?
like. Just for the vibes, because it was nice outside. I threw that one on, but just the worship music. That's really it. Like and just getting my word every Sunday and Monday, the whole morning, and that's my routine, honestly. And then obviously we got the Brother Bees and D12 on Thursday, so that's my routine there.
Yeah.
MK, I got two more. I know Joe probably has another too. I've noticed with you, and even going back a couple of years ago when you guys beat Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium with New Mexico State, you had some punishing runs there to just icing on the cake, late in the game. And then you've done that a lot this year. Not that, you've played in the first half, but I think a big impact you've made is the fourth quarter. You did it yesterday, where some of those runs are just, the defense has to be going that like, man, we got this guy now after Seti, they'd throw it all around the yard. I think you thrive in that role. Fourth quarter, defense may be tired, but here comes MK Young. Do you feel that, and do you enjoy that?
Yes, I love it, because like I like taking it. I believe I'm a wholehearted believer in like taking advantage of literally every opportunity. So it's like if I miss an opportunity, it's like you just missed your opportunity. Like, yeah, that happens. Like we often complain about not having an opportunity, but what happens when that opportunity comes? We get so caught in complaining that we miss it. And so I think just that huge part is just taking advantage of every opportunity. Like I like it like that. Like obviously, like everything won't go the way I would want it to go, but when my number's called, I want to deliver. And if that's in the fourth quarter, so be it. Like they're gonna have to see me one way or another. It's just like what's for me is for me, and no other man can take that away. God has for me is for me. So I'm I'm truly just blessed to be put in those positions to be even on the field. So yeah.
All right, I got a
Yeah,
I
man.
got
Go
one on
ahead,
the
buddy.
tennis on the rivalry week. I don't know if you're going to ask about that, Joe, but obviously this is a historic rivalry, but it's obviously Vanderbilt has been on the losing side a good bit, and that's been well documented. But this is as historic as
Billy,
Auburn,
this is supposed to
Alabama.
be a positive podcast,
I know.
buddy.
I'm just saying. We
I'm
we
just
all
kidding.
we all get that. Look, I'm born and raised in Nashville. This is a has always been a chip on the shoulder type game for Vanderbilt, whether it's in Nashville or Knoxville. Have you learned about it? What do you know about the rivalry, and has the excitement built yet?
Oh, what I know about the rivalry. Oh, we don't like
Good
orange.
question, Billy.
We don't like orange at all. And like I said, like our brotherhood is so tight. Is that when those seasons that came before me, when they lost to Tennessee or lost to any other teams, it hurts me too. Because it's like, like when you have family, like when they go through something, you're going through it as well. That's how it feels. It's like you embrace that. And so it's like now it's like it's getting ready. We're heading up to Knoxville. It's just like we don't like orange. It's as simple as that. And we're gonna do everything we can, and we will do everything we can to come out on top. And that's that. And I'll let the performance and the play speak for itself. But obviously, we want to come out on top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. So, one thing that you touched on a little bit before is, and I think it was like an overarching theme, was the belief. You talked about how, when you're in the backfield with Diego, you guys know you're the best backfield in the country. The offensive line knows when we've got our team out here, we're the best offensive line group in the country, and we're the best receiver group in the country. Where, if you could speak to that a little bit, as being on the inside and being in that locker room, where does that belief, like, where did it start? What was there a moment, maybe last year or this year, that just there was this overwhelming sense of belief across the board of like, because on the outside, it seems like every guy just flies around with a ton of confidence, knowing that they've got the best offense, defense, and special teams unit in the country.
It starts from the top, Coach Lee, and he always says belief is a practice. And you got to practice those things. You got to tell yourself
No
some
doubt.
things. And what I'm telling, and it goes around just walking around with your teammates and just speaking life into them and speaking life into yourself. Like you are this, you are that, you will be this, you will be that. Speaking life into your teammates, speaking life into yourself, and like I do every morning. My daily decrees is like, but I think it starts with Coach Lee and
No
how he
doubt.
set the culture. The culture around there is just like is this band of misfits who just wants everything that they said that people said that they couldn't have, who wants everything that people said that they won't be able to get. And it's just like it starts with the culture. I say that it starts with Coach Lee, and it starts from the top and how he's this team and how we've continued to just bind closer together and believe that and just speak life into one another. And that's how that all started. And it's just now when we go out on Saturdays, it kicks on. It just happens. We trust
Yeah.
our assignment. We trust our technique, and we trust everything that we've been practicing. And that's through the week, and that's how that comes to happen on Saturdays.
Yeah, Coach
Yeah,
Lee,
man.
man.
It's been.
When we had
Go
Jordan
ahead, Billy.
Matthews on, Joe, I was laughing about because when Coach Lee says he'll go, relatedness is our
Edge.
and you'll
My
say
bad.
edge.
Sorry. You say
The mission
that's-
is it's like to me and Jordan was laughing how like it's you guys are like in lockstep. It's like you guys are inside Coach Lee's brain and it that is something that I think can go unnoticed on the outside too. But Jordan was laughing about it. Just like you just scream it right back, and you guys are just all locked in on him. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's just knowing that. You ask anybody in the locker room who's the fastest at saying it, and they're gonna say MK Young, because like I'm knowing what he's gonna say before he's knowing what he's gonna say, because I'm so locked into what he's saying and just understanding what he's saying, because like that man speaks some real life things that people would not just
He
beyond
does.
football. And it's just like I be so locked in on what he be saying. I'm just like I'm on it. Like we're all attention to detail when he's talking, because like he says a lot of great things that just go into just not football but life as well. So that you could just take those things. But yeah, just that as well. Everybody's on it, and we're trying to be the first to punch. Like if you ask what's the mission, I'm probably the first one to say winning. And nobody in the country is going to beat me to that. And that's just how we are on the field. Nobody in the country is going to beat us to related in our age or those different things. It's like we want to be the best at the small things as well. So if it's reciting what Coach Lee says and being attention, how can we be the best in the classroom? How can we be the best at paying attention? How can we be the best at the little detail? We want to be the best at that. Like that's what it is, and it comes down to that same thing you talked about.
Well, man, it's funny you say that, and yeah, I think you'll get a kick out of what I'm about to say. But winning takes,
You said what?
winning takes.
All of us. Which one?
Oh no, never mind. You missed it. So yeah,
That's an old one.
It is an old one. It is an old one. But Coach Lee used to say winning takes, and everybody would jump on and say focus. So
We don't use that one anymore. We don't use that one anymore.
it's outdated. Oh man, that's one that I thought would never ever go out of style.
Yeah,
Because
we don't use that anymore.
golly. All right, well, whatever. But anyways, going off of that, winning takes focus. What type of focus is it going to take this week throughout each day of practice to and opportunity never equals outcome. You have to go earn it. So throughout each day of practice, what are you guys going to be focusing on this week for Tennessee?
Small details. Just one practice at a time. He says it, one snap at a time, one play at a time, 1 second at a time. Just 1 minute at a time. Just everything, just 1 second, just one step by step, and just being locked in and attentive, and just locking into those eyes, hands, and feet, and just being able to play fast, physical, and just small days. Like today, we got film, we got lift, we got walkthrough, we got opponent introduction. Like just paying attention to those small things, and I think just taking it one day at a time. And that's all it is. And obviously, if we give 110% each practice, the results may fall our way. And everybody knows with football, like it can fall either way. But either way it falls, you're going to get Vanderbilt's toughest effort. Our full throttle of Vanderbilt football is what you're going to get.
Man,
Hell yeah, I love that.
This is going to be a fun week. Fun Saturday. I mean, man, this sport is incredible. And I know, you guys are fans and, just like everybody else around the country, a lot of huge, important games in Vanderbilt, obviously going up to Knoxville. I think Joe will be there too. So we'll see what happens. But MK, thank you so much, man. That was awesome. And I mean, I told this to Jordan Matthews, we could be on for 3 hours and with your, the faith stuff and everything like that. I think that can easily have an impact on people. So don't be a stranger, man. And appreciate you for taking the time. And Joe, thank you as always, man. We couldn't do it without you.
Thank you, guys.
Well,
Thank
you, MK. Seriously. Thank you so much for coming, man. You're a hell of a guy. And we are blessed to know you and blessed to have you here in over on West End.
Yes, sir. I'm blessed to be here, man. I'm blessed.
All right. Have a good week, MK.
Yes, sir. You do the same.
There you have it. Vanderbilt running back MK Young. Joe, he's an impressive kid, man. I noticed that after one of our press availabilities with him, and he ended up doing a couple more, and then after one of the games this year, just really impressive. I can see it, man. Reverend Young down the road, whenever his football career, is over. Like I could definitely see him leading people and or coaching. I mean, he's going to have his opportunities, man. But really impressive kid, and has had an impact. Has had a pretty, I think without his touchdown run against Missouri, Vanderbilt may not have come out on top. So he's made an impact. Whether nationally people know it or not, he certainly has, especially in the locker room.
Yeah, man. You talk about who he is as a person. and a player, obviously what he's been able to do on the football field and come in and contribute in some really big moments. That's all fine and dandy. As Vandy fans, we're so happy to see that. But man, who he is as a person is far more valuable than who he is as a player, and he is cream of the
Mhm.
crop, man. It's been a pleasure getting to know him, man, and become friends with him. He is good as they come, and he genuinely wants the best for everybody around him, and people see that. It's really impactful because nobody cares how much you know until they know that you care. You know that guy cares. So that goes a long
Well,
way, man. And he's doing it's huge for the team too to have guys like MK around.
Well, it's huge for our team here at Vandy 24/7 to have guys like you around too, Joe, with Bulovas Wealth Management of Raymond James. Obviously, our presenting football sponsor all season. Done a tremendous job, obviously, and will hang here with us and man, just these interviews and I think the different themes each week have been really, really cool, and we'll get into more of that. But again, Raymond James, Bulovas Wealth Management, presenting sponsor here for football season. If there's one thing we all share, it's that our lives are all unique. At Raymond James, they believe that's worth celebrating because financial planning isn't just about numbers and figures. It's about creating the life that you envision, your life. So whether you're building a future, preparing for retirement, Joe here can guide you each step of the way, all while following a plan that's uniquely yours, customizable. You liked that word last time, Joe. I think that's a benefit that you guys are able to provide at Raymond James. That's life well planned. To learn more, call Joe 615-645-6742. Raymond James and Associates Incorporated, member New York Stock Exchange, SIPC, or you can also log on to their website. It's a great landing spot if you need to find some more information as well. RaymondJames.com/Bulovas Wealth Management. Joe, we've got a theme this week, but it's sort of carrying over from last week, and I think it's an offer that that people should look into.
Yeah, so still offering my free financial planning reviews from now all the way through the month of January. So, and we might extend that to February, who knows? But the goal with that is to help as many people as we can to make sure that they can navigate with confidence. It's always a great idea to start the year um, with a clear path forward, know where things are. But it's also a good idea towards the end of the year, which we are in right now, to kind of get a gauge for how things have been. So this is where a lot of our review sessions take place is in the end of the year, but also it's a good opportunity to get a gauge for how we're going to move forward. Maybe some adjustments we're going to make, some improvements to the plan, whatever it looks like. We want to make sure that everybody navigates with confidence. So we're going to be hosting these free financial planning reviews from now, call it through the end of January. But basically, I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form. There's nothing tied to that. But everybody deserves to be able to navigate with confidence. And so that's my goal with this.
Love it. Love it. So again, head over to raymondjames.com/Bulovas Wealth Management. Joe's contact info there, email. Of course, that's how you can reach him. So also on Twitter too, on our message board over at the site. So easily reachable is Joe Bulovas. And man, speaking of easy, Vandy made it look easy last night as we hop into our game recap. We'll touch on Kentucky from yesterday, and then we'll preview the matchup in Knoxville on Saturday. But Joe, let's start with yesterday's game. And man, I mean, where do we start with Diego?
Wow.
I think in Clark after the game was asked about him. And, at this point, it's almost like, all right, how do we rephrase a question at this point to even say, hey, as opposed to just, hey, what does Diego bring to this team? And what kind of performance did you see out there today? These last few weeks, man, I mean, it's been the same thing, but better each week. Over 500 total yards of offense, 6 total touchdowns. He had 5 passing touchdowns, which was upgraded there. Trey Richardson's reception, it was a rush, but it got upgraded to a reception. Man, just
helps Diego.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Helps Diego's stats there.
It really does. Yeah. And we had an sports information guy come over, and I think everybody on the Vanderbilt associated with Vanderbilt in the booth was excited about that. But man, I don't even know what you say at this point, Joe. Clark said that after the game. The impact.
You say good job and do it again
Yeah.
next week. That's what you say.
I mean, this was as dialed in as I've seen him through the air, but he was still rushing for those 10
it was
to
a
15.
masterpiece.
Yeah, he still had those 10, 15, 20-yard rushing gains, and that kept the chains moving. And man, Beck was locked in. But this Joe, I'll tell you this. This is we know what Diego can do, but man, Hoskins, what a catch he had. And Trey Richardson, his two grabs, I thought those were really impressive. And Pavia just to float those up. And Clark after the game said, man, Trey, I thought he was just able to run under him, and Pavia threw him open in a way there.
Mm-hmm.
But Pavia in this offense are clicking on all cylinders right now, Joe. I don't know what you do if you're a defensive coordinator. I really don't.
This is probably the hardest offense to call a game against. I mean, I'm glad that we have those guys on our team and we don't have to go play guys like that.
I mean, how do you
prepare?
Like,
well, that's the thing is, we have I think I was talking with Ben the other day, and I think he mentioned on the podcast, but we have this formation where we have like 3 or 4 tight ends in the game. It's like it's kind of crazy. I want to say it's 3. 4 sounds a little extreme, but we have that like almost what looks like a goal line package or like a wing tee look, and then you got Diego in the backfield and you got 5 wide, and you just have no idea what's coming at you. And those plays might have been like back to back. Surely, where's the rhythm here? They just threw played they ran a play out of a wishbone looking formation. And now they're going West Coast offense, 5 across the board, not even a running back in the backfield. Like, it's really cool to see, man. And I'm glad that we don't have to play like a Diego and Eli Stowers, Cole Spence, and Richie Hoskins and Seti and MK. I'm glad we don't have to play those guys, because I think every DC out there is like, you can game plan for, offensive coordinator that's been at a place for a long time and runs his stuff. You might get some wrinkles here and there, but he runs his stuff and you know what to expect. You have no idea what Vanderbilt football is going to throw at you if you're a defensive coordinator at Kentucky, like this past weekend. And there's so many things you have to account for.
Yeah. Brad White, I don't know if you're familiar with him, Joe. Phenomenal defensive coordinator in the SEC. Clark has credited him. So that's not Joe Blow out there. You're not playing Central Connecticut State. Like that's a really good SEC defensive coordinator that Vanderbilt, quite frankly,
the only that guy that might be able to stop the Vanderbilt offense right now is Bobby Boucher from the SCLSU Mud Dogs. But if he's out, he's a legendary player where I'm from, man. South Central, Louisiana State. We went on a visit. Went on a visit down to the SCLSU Mud Dogs or whatever they call it. Yeah, went on a visit and everything. Yeah.
Nick Saban's stopping grounds. Joe, you mentioned that how deceptive they are. We've talked about that. I was about to ask MK, like, could you play linebacker against this offense? Like, I don't know. I don't think any of them, and that's the thing. Like, this offense knows how tough they are to stop, and that breeds confidence, right? And that's why they step on the field offensively. They could be down 21-0. I mean, Joe, Texas, what were they up? 28-3, 24-3. I mean, that was a big time hole that Texas created, and you could argue Vanderbilt created by the way they played. Credit Texas, but like Joe, if they get down in Knoxville 21-3, 21, like last year, Tennessee was down, I think it was 17-3, something like that.
So I want to say we started off last year like on a 14-0 run.
Yep. Yeah, Brock hit a field goal too. I think it was 14.
So it might have been 17.
Yeah, I think it was 17.
Something like that.
But Vanderbilt has kind of flipped that on teams. Vanderbilt is now that team that, they could get down, but doesn't matter. I mean, this team, the way they can click on offense now has translated to the defense. And we talked about the defense to turn the page there, Joe. Last week we talked a lot about how, man, this secondary, looks gassed, and how do you make adjustments here?
They looked all right on Saturday.
They really did. I mean, that looked like a totally different defense than what we saw in that Auburn
really
game
impressive
a couple of weeks ago. And credit to Lazinski and Gregory and Coach Lee and Coach Black and everybody on that defensive staff for getting that team ready. But Coach Lee said it was just communication. And Martell Height, he said the same thing, because I asked after the game, I was like, hey, what kind of adjustments were made over the last couple of weeks heading into a game, Joe? Kentucky was hot. Kentucky was playing well. They've got a good receiver, Alabama transfer Kendrick Law. They've got some other good running backs, and Cutter Boley had been playing well. So again, this is not Sacramento State you're facing. This was a hot Kentucky team that was coming in here, but Vanderbilt's defense dominated. This whole team dominated Kentucky. But Joe, you can argue that was one of the best defensive displays all season. This was as close to a complete game I think Vanderbilt has had under Clark Lee. But that defense, Joe, that's big to see going into Tennessee week. I think this is what fans wanted to see, and they got it.
Yeah, well, one, I think it's what fans wanted to see, but I think also for the guys in the room and the coaching staff, they want to see this even more. To have confidence amongst the group, that's way more important than what any of the fans think. But yes, it was really encouraging to see how good they were on defense. I was really impressed with the DBs. They played a really solid game. You had guys playing and filling gaps in the linebacker room really, really well. So, I kind of relate this a little bit back to the Missouri game. The Missouri game, our defense bent, but they didn't break. They did just enough to hold Missouri off to where we won the game. This game, they didn't bend really at all. I was really impressed with how dominant that they were. They were able to bend but not break, but it wasn't like, hey, march all the way down the field and score a field goal, that type of bending. They were really systematic about getting off the field on third and fourth down and getting the ball back to our offense. And our offense did a phenomenal job. The best offense or the best defense sometimes is a really good offense that's very, very sound and eats up the clock. So I thought the time of possession was a little bit better, and obviously in our favor this time around. But like you said before, I think it was totally communication on the defensive side. What little fixes and little tweaks here and there go a really long way. And the biggest thing on offense, defense, and special teams is communication. So I'm encouraged to hear that got resolved.
Obviously, just a dominant performance from Vanderbilt all the way around, 45-17 over the Kentucky Wildcats, improved to 9-2 on the season, and sets up a huge matchup. And I think in this rivalry, the biggest game in the history of this rivalry. I really do think. Now, it would be even bigger. I think some older fans could argue with me there, and feel free to on the board or in the comments. But I think if Tennessee was also at 9 wins, if this was a battle for sort of an elimination game for the playoff, it could be bigger. But Joe, for this Vanderbilt team, and we talked about it off air, you played at Alabama. Obviously, you guys were able to have your way with Tennessee. I don't think you lost to Tennessee while you're at Alabama. Obviously, you get to Vanderbilt and had some struggles, but this is a historic rivalry. And yeah, Tennessee, it's gone their way as we talked about there with MK, but the focus is on their intentionality this week. But Joe, I think we need to take a moment just to appreciate, like, this isn't going to be like a few years ago, when Tennessee came here, it was uncompetitive. And even last year, like, Tennessee in the second half sort of had they stepped into their performance and had their way. But I think we can confidently say that this is going to be a fun game to watch. It's going to be entertaining, and it's a battle. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a war. And I think both quarterbacks, Aguilar, great stories. Aguilar, I know, people are going to say, why are you throwing some respect on Tennessee? But a guy like that, Joe, I think it's an impressive story. Sort of matches up with Pavia's story a little bit. But man, I think there's something to be said about, this could be a top 15 matchup. We'll see how far Tennessee moves up in the rankings, but big week. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a great week. A lot of excitement around the game. I think the players are going to respond really, really, really well. I think I know for a fact everybody in that room understands what's at stake here.
You don't have to say anything as a
There's
coach.
nothing that needs to be said as a coach. Your players are intrinsically motivated. They don't need to understand the gravity of the situation that they're in. And I'm not into hypotheticals either. And most of these coaches and these players have been around the block a time or two. They've played some ball games and they know how things pan out. But there's no use in looking at the hypotheticals saying like, oh, if things go this way and looking at your game sheet each week, like, oh man, we need these guys to lose, and these guys to win. Just go handle business this week and everything will unfold how it's supposed to. But I think Tennessee's a really solid team, despite their struggles. I think they have a lot of talent all across the board. Coach Heupel's done a really nice job over there. Now, their fans have not had the best experience with them when I was at Alabama and at Vanderbilt. So any Vandy fans wandering over to Knoxville, just be aware. So, but yeah, no, it's going to be a phenomenal atmosphere. I've never seen as much buzz around this game until now. It's been really cool to see so many Vandy fans come out. And it's funny. The other day, I had somebody ask me like, "Man, did Vandy not account for the success and the capacity for their stadium?" I'm like, "Well, I think the stadium looks pretty badass, to be quite honest with you." But even Coach Lee said a couple of weeks ago, he's like, "Yeah, I hope the next mission is to knock down both sides and build 2 decks on each." And I was like, "Man, that." But never. I always everything that Coach Lee says, you always take it to heart because he means it. So, man, there's just so much excitement around this program, the team, this game, obviously, and then how the potential playoff outlook is going to go. But then again, it's a hypothetical. Got to be where your feet are and smell the roses sometimes because things are pretty darn good around here, and it's an exciting time to be a Commodore.
Yeah, not too shabby. Obviously, Vanderbilt right now is a 3.5-point underdog, according to FanDuel. So head on over there if you want to play some money on that Vanderbilt side. 3.5. The hook there, that sometimes the hook will get people there, but the over under, Joe, 64.5. I've got a feeling there's going to be a lot of points in this game. And look, we'll see. Both defenses could step up and have some good plans, but both offenses can score. I think both are top 5, maybe even top 3 in the SEC when it comes to scoring and a lot of the stats that matter on offense. Mentioned Aguilar. That's how Heupel has done it at Tennessee. Last year they were a little bit more of a physical run game with the tight ends. This year they got a few really good receivers. We know what Vanderbilt can do offensively, Joe. But again, if you do want to head over to FanDuel Rivalry Week, chaos is ensuing. You can lock in your plays over there. Joe, one thing I want to hit on, you've played at Neyland Stadium, and I know you've attempted some kicks there and some, maybe, like I said, you guys dominated them, when you were at Alabama. But you played on the road as a Commodore as well. What, like, psychologically, not just as a kicker, but as a player, as a quarterback under center or in the gun, and you've got 100,000 screaming fans, you can't hear, man. And that's why you clap, that's why you guys have things. The holder has some cues and, things that you guys prepare for, to walk into a crowd like this. But just psychologically, how can that affect you? And then in the preparation, how do you train yourself to not let it affect you, especially rivalry week? I mean, they know what's at stake, both teams.
Yeah, obviously, you don't have to rally the troops to get up for this one. But regarding the noise, that's always going to be there. When you play in the SEC, Heck, even when you play at Vanderbilt now, it's a loud atmosphere, which is fantastic. And you know, every team's going to have a big stadium. They're going to be loud. Obviously, Neyland's a big old stadium,
Mm,
but playing at LSU, playing at A&M, Florida, all the bigger places. South Carolina gets really rowdy, but at the end of the day, it's literally just a bunch of noise. It kind of you can't hear anything in particular unless they're on the field, just trash
yeah,
talking to you,
yeah.
which does happen. They're
It's
not
just
telling
really
you,
loud
oh,
white
great.
noise.
Yeah, essentially, if you think about like static, just volume being up and down, just static. That's
Yeah.
how I always kind of felt like it was. Um, but when they play Rocky Top over there, but after about the first
Mm.
time, it gets really darn annoying because someone they gain a yard on offense, blasting Rocky Top, like
There,
holy
there,
cow, we're
there,
the
there.
best. Yeah, yeah, they're just celebrating some very small victories with striking up the band, man. So, but yeah, it was funny because I'll tell the story about my time at Alabama. Every time we played Tennessee that week, they would blast Rocky Top through the locker room, the training room, weight room, just nonstop to where everybody was like, either they loved it, they loved the song afterwards, or they just could not get to the field fast enough to knock somebody's teeth in. So, it was kind of you talk about the psychological aspect of it, like that's kind of how it was at Alabama, of
Yeah.
like, whoever the opponent is, we're going to blast it on you, everywhere. It's top of mind, obviously, um, throughout the entire week. So,
Yeah.
but Neyland's it's a great atmosphere. It is a phenomenal game day atmosphere. I'm excited for our guys to go out there and have that stage, a big time game at your rival stadium. Bunch of rowdy fans, good time. It's a This is the matchup that Coach Lee was wanting to get Vanderbilt to be in this
Hmm.
position. It's a huge a great amount of dedicated people with countless
Hmm.
hours to get to a game like this. It's phenomenal, man. It's really,
Yeah.
really neat. And so, all the fans out there, man, take a second to smell the roses because
Soak it
these are
in.
some
Yeah.
real soak it in. These are some really good times. You got some great people working really, really hard to make this team everything that it can be. So it's going to be a phenomenal game.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a blast. I think it's going to be a war. I already can't wait. I mean, again, biggest game in the history of the program. We've been saying that for a lot of this season, and it keeps building. And this is a chance, 9 wins for the first time since 1915 in a regular season.
Yeah.
And this would be the first 10-win regular season ever in the history of the program. I
Yeah.
mean, this team could get to 11, Joe. They could get to 12. I mean, this team, everything is in front of this team. Now, I say that as we look at the field, and we were texting last weekend over the bye. He's like, hey, Vanny needs this, and kind of who you're rooting
Yeah, I was
for.
guilty of it a little
And,
bit. I was guilty of it a
but
little bit. I was like, okay,
hey,
we need these couple teams to handle business on the way through, and obviously, we got to win out. So yeah, I'm guilty of it, man. But
oh, it's hard not to, especially this season. Last year I don't think it was this
yeah,
dramatic, but I was looking at the schedule for this week, and games start Thursday, Friday. There's huge games Friday. I mean, Friday's going to be an incredible day. Saturday, obviously, but there's 15 to 20 impactful games, like games that will directly impact the college football playoff field. And
hmm
we talk all about those border teams. BYU, Utah, Miami. Notre Dame. Notre Dame's fine. I think they're in, whether you like it or not, Joe. I know. Look, people, I get it. But look, they've dominated. They won 70-7 the other day. So I think
Who did
Notre
they
Dame.
play? Little school on the prairie.
It's Syracuse.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a real hot team right now.
but no, I think Notre Dame is in. But you look at it, Joe. Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, A&M, and Georgia. You would say those 5 right there are pretty safe. Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon out of the Big Ten, A&M and Georgia out of the SEC. So 3 from the Big Ten. 2 from the SEC. That's 5. You've got the Big 12 champion. They will be in. You've got the ACC champion. They will be in. And then a non-Power 4 team, a group of 5 team. So that's 3 extra there. The Big 12, but I don't think, Joe, the Big 12 gets 2. I don't think the ACC gets 2. And that helps Vanderbilt. Now the question is, if BYU, if they win next week, they get to the Big 12 championship, and if they lose, Joe, they're an 11-2 team. Are they in? Right? I think that's a question.
That one would really, really hurt.
Yeah, that would hurt. But not just that. You've got after those spots, that's 8 spots there. So you've got 4 spots left. You've got Ole Miss still. They could drop one in the Egg Bowl, and who knows what happens with Lane Kiffin.
Who the heck knows? There's so many rumors about him going.
My gut tells me he's going to LSU. I think that's sort of the consensus opinion, but it's an opinion. Nothing's actually happened yet. I mean, Mark Carter put out a statement, but that could distract them. And if they lose in the Egg Bowl, that's not a great loss for them. And what does the committee feel about that? Oklahoma, they host LSU. LSU, Joe, they looked awful yesterday. And
nobody's trying over there.
Yeah,
they're not trying. Their season's over. They're kind of just hitting the reset button of amnesia, forget everything that happened, start from scratch, seasons. I mean, and I hate it for the players, man. I hate seeing that for players because you commit to a school, you play for a school, you play for your coaches and your teammates, and you get abandoned essentially by your fan base, your administration a little bit. Like it's really tough to see that because I've known guys that played at places where the coaches transitioned in and out and sometimes multiple times and had some pretty down years. And it's a pretty lonely feeling. You just got to see my buddies go through it. I'm like, man, that's a really tough scenario. But yeah, LSU, they're just hitting the reset button, and I don't hate seeing LSU not be so great, but I don't like for the players, man.
It's weird. LSU is such a proud program, but
very.
Can they go into Norman and win? Vandy would love to see that happen, but that doesn't feel like something that could happen. And then Florida, they looked awful yesterday against Tennessee. We've talked about Kentucky's effort against Vandy. But so you've got OU, Bama. Alabama's an interesting case study because if they lose to Auburn, they're out of the SEC they will not be in the SEC championship. Obviously, if they win, they'll be in Atlanta to face A&M. If they lose the SEC championship, that's a 3-loss Alabama team, but they beat Vanderbilt. So, but if they lose to Auburn, that's an Auburn team that Vandy just beat a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So it could.
And it's an Auburn team that's playing pretty good football right now.
Yeah, Deuce Knight played yesterday. I mean, I would assume they stick with that. Are they going to play Deuce Knight, or do they stick with Ashton Daniels? I mean, who
that's knows? Another dumpster fire, man. Like nobody knows. I think Auburn's holding it together a little bit better than LSU right now.
Oh yeah.
But
so you've got Bama. Bama's going to be that's a team to watch. Miami, Virginia Tech had them for a little bit there, but obviously they held on. But I think Georgia Tech got walloped yesterday by Pitt, a Pitt team that lost to Notre Dame by 50. So it's just going to be interesting, Joe. That there's going to be a battle for those 4 spots. If Ole Miss, OU, and Bama win, that's 3 spots, and there's 1 spot left. And you've still got Notre Dame. In that scenario, you would put Notre Dame in. But man, it's going to be interesting. Either way, they still got to beat Tennessee. And I think that's what Jordan was telling us. He said, "Hey, we're focusing on Kentucky, and then we're focusing on Tennessee." But man, it's a crazy time, though. This sport is insane. There's coaches flying around everywhere. There's ADs. We've got an Arkansas AD on the playoff committee who's in the middle of a coaching search. I mean, it's insane, but Vanderbilt is right in the middle of it.
Yeah, and that's where you're supposed to be. That's where our sights were set when Coach Lee came in, and now we get to experience it. We get to see the full breadth of Vanderbilt football, man, and see them do something really, really cool. We haven't been able to be in this point in a long, long time, maybe ever. So everything, I really believe everything will take care of itself if we win when we win this week against Tennessee. And one
Mhm.
thing to consider too, that's not going to be talked about much, but there's a lot of distractions this week. Why? It's Thanksgiving. The guys are off of school. Not sure if who is at the game on Saturday, but student section was like maybe half full
Yeah.
because all the kids are
Yeah.
going home and stuff like that. So it's a different week. There's a lot more time on the guys' hands, so they're going to have to be mature and do things the right way, catch up on sleep, recovery, extra film, stuff like that. So there's more time on these guys' hands. They're gonna have to be a little bit more mature, make the right decisions to better themselves in the program. But you got Thanksgiving on Thursday, that creeps into Friday and Saturday, and usually what happens is and I love this about Vanderbilt is we would have Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday right after practice. Families welcome at practice. It's a really fun and light atmosphere, but it's competitive. It's very intentional. And then the afternoon, have Thanksgiving as a team, and then you're also able to go with your own family if you want to that afternoon and evening. So always really respected the way that we ran the Thanksgiving week as a program, and that's a credit to Coach Lee, obviously.
Yeah. So yeah, they're out all week, and I think that's how you guys did it too, Joe. You were out the entire week for Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
out of school.
Yep.
Yeah. So that the
Yep.
guys, they love it, but that's Coach. I know what
Yeah.
Coach Lee's
You'd
thinking
sleep
about.
in. Well,
Yeah.
actually, no. They're a morning team.
Yeah. Probably not. But man, I've always loved this week, Thanksgiving week. You get to Thursday is probably a lot of people's favorite day of the year. You're watching football, you're eating all kinds of food, and then you get to Friday has some really good games, Saturday has some really good games. But just time to be with family. Joe, again, man, I hope you've got some Thanksgiving plans. I don't know if you're traveling. I know you mentioned you're going to, or at least you want to go to Knoxville. I don't know if you've locked that in yet. I will be there. It's actually my first time being able to go to Knoxville for a football game in general, not to mention a Vanderbilt Tennessee game. So looking forward to that. But man, Joe, this is a huge week for Vanderbilt, but also just a week of thanks. And I think it's a good time to just, for Vanderbilt fans, for anybody associated with Vanderbilt, anybody watching this, just to kind of sit back and say, man, we should be grateful for this season, for guys that made it possible, for Pavia, Coach Lee. Obviously, everybody wants to ask, when's that extension coming? I mean, I'll sit here and tell you it's coming. I don't, Coach Lee is not taking another job. I can sit here and tell you that. I think Joe would second that. Vanderbilt made a commitment on Thursday night to the program, and there was an article and a video that came out on Friday with some Vandy United updates. And Joe, there's going to be a football experience center where fans can actually, which is really cool. And
It's
the most
really
Vanderbilt,
neat.
I think it's the most Vanderbilt thing ever, but it's smart to have, because I think that's been a common question of, hey, where's the progress? How's
Right.
the South End Zone coming along? Well, they'll be able to directly see, what it's looking like, obviously with the indoor practice facility and an operations center that Clark Lee talked about. But
Yeah.
there's a commitment, Joe.
One thing to kind of note on that is, one home run with the commitment there, like that's huge for this program. The way that the experience center, I believe, is going to be structured, it's kind of similar to the Star, is what I was kind of told a little bit from some boosters of like the Star in Dallas or in Arlington.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that type of building or
Mm-hmm.
complex going forward. So that's really, really innovative, especially at the college level. You haven't seen that yet. And it's the chancellor. He's been very, very proactive about promoting Vanderbilt athletics and getting it to a point where it's really leading the charge on innovation. So I'm thrilled to have that finally because, they were talking about knocking McGugan down and had all the drawings, all the renderings done when I was playing. And
Mhm.
everybody was sitting there in the locker room like, don't hold your breath. They've been talking about knocking down the stadium for the past 10 years
Yeah.
and building that. And so, but I'm glad things are starting to move in the right direction because obviously that means some good news was probably on the way for Coach Lee's extension being made public, which I know would put a lot of people's minds at ease right now. And I love what Coach said the other day about the coaching carousel. It's not something that you sign up for, you don't buy a ticket to, you get thrust onto it. And that's kind of how I viewed the situation. Obviously, Coach has done a phenomenal job here, and his commitment has been unwavering, even with some really low lows and some great highs that we're experiencing now. But it's the type of a person he is why so many schools are looking to try and get him potentially. So,
Right.
and that's nothing new. If you have success, people are going to try and get you to come over to their house.
Mhm.
That's kind of that's what's going to happen. When Coach Lee is here 10 years from now, and hopefully there's a couple of natties to Vanderbilt's name, that there's still going to be like places coming after Coach. That they were coming after Coach Saban when I was at Alabama. There's always going to be people coming after successful people. So, but man, from a Vanderbilt perspective, this is a really good time. Be where your feet are. Enjoy this week and be grateful for the position that this program is in.
Couldn't have said it better. Vanderbilt and Tennessee coming up Saturday at 2:30 on ESPN. And, I think obviously it's a good chance, whether you're traveling Friday or Saturday morning, it's a good kickoff time for fans to be able to get out there. We'll see about the weather. Hopefully it's not too cold out there. But, a lot of times this has been at 11 a.m. I think it was 11 a.m. last year, which, Tennessee fans are going to travel. But I think you should see some Vandy fans out there. But man, looking forward to it. Should be a fun one. And Joe, happy Thanksgiving, man. Really appreciate you. And I know this is kind of the beginning of the end of this regular season. But I know, kind of letting people know that, you're not going anywhere. And I think you've helped us a lot with these interviews. I think, credit to you, like, that Jordan Matthews interview was awesome. Ben, obviously last week, and MK now. Just to let people know, we're going to continue to try to do some of that for you guys, and add that benefit. But yeah, thanks, Joe, and looking forward to this week, man. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a blast, man.
That will do it for another episode of Star V Sundays. Again, whether it's FanDuel, whether it's Bulovas Wealth Management, here with Joe of over at Raymond James. Thank you guys for tuning in, and man, buckle up this week. Should be a fun one in 9.